I blocked my best friend's number yesterday after 9 years of friendship because she told my daughter something about my past that I never wanted her to know. And now her husband is calling me saying she's devastated, and I owe her at least a conversation before ending things this way. I'm 37, and my best friend Caroline is 38. We met when our oldest kids were in kindergarten together and became inseparable. She's been through my divorce. I was with her when her dad died. We talk nearly every day, or we did. My daughter Mara is 14. She's at that age where she's starting to ask harder questions about my life before she was born. Last week, she asked me about her father and why we got divorced when she was so young. It's a conversation I've been dreading. The truth is that I got pregnant with Mara when I was 23, and her father and I were together for about a year before we got married because I was pregnant. The marriage lasted 3 years and was a disaster. He wasn't a bad person, we were just completely wrong for each other, and by the time Mara was 2, we both knew it wasn't going to work. What I've always told Mara is a version of that truth, just softened. I've said we married young, grew apart, and split up amicably. I've never told her that the only reason we got married in the first place was because I was pregnant, because I didn't want her to grow up thinking she was a mistake or an obligation. Caroline knew the full story. She knew why it mattered to me that Mara didn't know the timeline. 3 days ago, Mara came home from Caroline's house in tears. Caroline's daughter is Mara's best friend, and Mara spends a lot of time over there. According to Mara, she'd been talking to Caroline in the kitchen about her dad, and Caroline said something along the lines of, well, your parents got married because your mom was pregnant, so they probably weren't ready to be married in the first place. Mara asked me that night if it was true. I could see her face trying to process it, this new information that reframed her entire understanding of her existence. I told her yes, it was true, but that didn't mean she wasn't wanted or loved. She cried anyway. She said she felt like a mistake. I spent 2 hours trying to undo the damage. I texted Caroline the next morning. I said what she'd told Mara was not her story to tell, and she knew how I felt about it. Caroline called me immediately and said she was sorry, that it had slipped out in conversation and she didn't think Mara would react that way. I said it didn't matter if she thought Mara would react that way or not. It wasn't her information to share. Caroline said she understood, but that she felt like I was overreacting, that Mara was going to find out eventually, and maybe it was better coming from someone other than me anyway. That's when I lost it. I told Caroline that she didn't get to decide what was better for my kid, and that after 9 years of friendship, she should have known better than to blow up something this delicate. Caroline said I was being dramatic and that Mara was resilient and would be fine. I hung up. The next day, Caroline sent a long text apologizing and saying she'd made a mistake. I didn't respond. She sent another text that night saying she missed me and asking if we could talk. I blocked her number. Yesterday, her husband called me from his phone. He said Caroline had been crying for 2 days and felt horrible about what happened. He said I had every right to be angry, but that blocking her without a real conversation wasn't fair after almost a decade of friendship. I told him I didn't owe Caroline anything and hung up, but I've been thinking about it since. Part of me knows I'm being harsh. The other part of me keeps seeing Mara's face when she asked if she was a mistake. My ex-husband of all people told me I should talk to Caroline when I mentioned it to him. He said people make mistakes and friendship should be able to survive them. My mom said I have every right to be furious and Caroline crossed a line. Am I the asshole?